George Jude and public purpose.
Oh, yeah. Do you know Okay. I'm Chris Bryant. I used to be the president of the Whittier Garden Festival. Oh, trees is heavenly. And this is my favorite event of the whole year. And can you hear me, husband? Okay, good. I stood up, so I just going on. An annual collaboration of poetry between the Whittier home and Tapestry of Voices. And we call Tapestry of Voices, Tapestry of Verses, I wrote down here. Lainey Seneschal and Harris Gardner, the two co-founders, and I need you guys to stand up, just in case people don't know you. Lainey and Harris. Yay. None of this would have happened without those two, and I am only too happy to help and organize what I can from the Whittier home standpoint. This hasn't been a banner year for me. In fact, it's been pretty awful. But I am so counting on the good vibes that I'm going to get today to get me through the rest of August in prime zone. Yay! First, I must acknowledge and thank members of the Board of Directors for supporting this wonderful event. And I might be wrong, but I don't think there's any of the Board of Directors except for Dottie, who is taking pictures. Any of the rest of the Board of Directors here to acknowledge, but that's okay. Of course, Brian's here and Dottie is here. And I'm screwing up. Brian's back there trying to, okay, there he is. He's putting out more waters and seltzers and all that good stuff. Anyway, I want to acknowledge and thank all the members of the board for supporting this wonderful event, and especially for Dottie for taking photos of the reading today. Dottie is responsible for the photo on the front of the program, and it all depends on which kind of program you got, whether you got a collectible or whether you have a normal program. The hummingbird in Whittier's garden. And Lainey, co-founder of Tapestry of Voices, wrote a poem about the hummingbird in Whittier's garden. And it was right back here behind me on one of the bee balms, and Dottie noticed it, and unbeknownst to anyone else, took a picture of the hummingbird, and that's what's been on the cover of the programs for Tapestry of Voices for years. I also want to thank my husband Peter, Brian Riley, and everyone who came early to help set up chairs and prepare food. And I have a few reminders for you. Please silence your cell phones. Yes, parents, you may take pictures. We will be doing a photo shoot after the reading is over, and please make sure you four girls stay until we get a picture of you for next year's program. Don't frown, Sophie. You were frowning. See, I catch these things. Okay. So that takes care of 1 and 2. If you are able, at the end of the readings, when everybody's all done and grouped around the food table, which hopefully will be full of food by then, if I have anything and these two up here have anything to do with it, if you would just take your chair and put it on the back porch, or take it all the way through to the dining room, which is straight through when you go in the back door. Just one chair, and it really helps. Every little bit helps. Harris, don't be a show-off. Okay? Okay. Alfred's good. Up here. Okay, there is a restroom just inside the back door to the home, to the left, to the immediate left, and feel free to use that whenever you need it. Above all, please enjoy the wonderful bounty of poetry that you will hear today. We have Rena P. Espaillat here today, and I am so thrilled. Students just absolutely adore you, as do I.
That's mutual.
I know it's all mutual. We are missing Mrs. Zabo very much. And she says to say hi to all you girls, and she really wishes she could be here, but she's in California. And so she won't be here this year, maybe next year, but you get to see her at school all the time. So, okay, now I would like to introduce one of the co-founders of Tapestry of Voices, a superb poet and a good friend, Tara Scott.
Is this any better? No. No. And the word with the cover off. So you need to, readers, please face the mic directly, okay, instead of saying private. Just check. Check. No, it's up. Check, check. Discuss.
Can you throw your voice?
Yeah, I'm gonna stop because I don't think I need a mic. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, that's much better. Much
Good. Okay, I want to welcome everybody here today for our 25th annual Tapestry of Voices and Whittier Home Association joint collaboration with special thanks to Chris and Peter Bryant. I am very happy to be doyen of the Poetry University, Rena P. Espaillat. Ellie O'Leary will shortly be up here to present the awards to our wonderful high school poets in the making and future poets of America. That's a good ring to it. Okay, FPA. All right, FPA will be a rival society to the Poetry Society of America. These are the founding members. So I think you can all hear me still, right? We're not ready yet, though, are we? Okay. We have a great lineup for you today. I will be, after Ellie introduces the award winners, they will be reading first. And I will be introducing our wonderful main event. So, we're going to get underway finally.
Yes, you touched it.
Introducing our current poet laureate of Amesbury, Ellie O'Leary.
I'll just yell at you. Fine. All right. So there are 5 winners, 4 of whom are here today. And as when I say your name, please come up and
They're under the
stuff.
They're under there. They're on the table.
Okay. So, Sophia Hartford. She won honorable mention, and we have a tie for 3rd place. So first is Kira Lafferty. And also in 3rd place would be Riley Doherty, but she is traveling and she's not here today. So next is Avne Martino. place winner, Nadia Pop. And now, in turn, each of them will come up and read their poem. And is Harris introducing it, or am I? Okay.
I have to look at Riley's poem.
Okay. All right. So we will start. Our first student reader is Sophia Hartford.
This is a national anthem. Is it any better if I use it? A national anthem. Music as the amplifier of justice. And Black music tells the story of Black Americans. Just listen to Louis Armstrong, who not only wrote music that spoke to generations, but also spoke out to make sure Black kids could go to school. Who not only was an artist, but an activist. Who saw trees of green and skies of blue and shared that story with the world too. To Billie Holiday, who wrote the defining social justice song. Who sang about strange fruit, a song explicitly called out the wrongs and brought to action a group of people in the face of violence. Who set it straight, called people out, demanded attention and change, and did so with her words and with her voice, her superpower. Who wrote protest songs and was not afraid to speak the hard truth. Think of Scott Joplin, who wrote music praising the work of Booker T. Washington, the first African American to be invited to dinner at the White House. Joplin, the composer who popularized ragtime music. When you hear the ice cream truck driving down your street, you can think of him as the entertainer fills the air. Listen to Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul, who commanded respect through her powerhouse voice. They may have tried to keep her silent, but she let her songs break through. Listen to Motown music, the music that, though not inherently political, brought Black music into every home regardless of race, in the face of the Civil Rights Movement. And to Lizzo, a modern star who uses her own platform to amplify others, who brought 17 activists up on stage with her to receive an award and made sure their work was known and acknowledged too. Who tells stories and breaks barriers and does so feeling good as hell. Lift every voice and sing. Sing the songs of these people, these groups who sing to make their voices heard. Music is the amplifier of justice. Music is our common language, the world's common identity. In music, we are one. One voice, one song, one way to connect to each other, the amplifier of justice. We sing our own parts, our own harmonies, but we are all singing the same song. Raising the same voices, that is my country, and of thee I sing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And our next student reader will be Kira Lafferty.
Okay. Yes. White Linen and Lace by Kira Lafferty. Dress of lace and thread of linen, stained by earth and water its bed. Once hung for the wind to dry, now laid on a rock, bearing the fat. Crystal raindrops too pure to froth, find a home within the cloth. Each square inch of fabric holds heavy, each ribbon tattered and messy. Fabric that smells of rain and forest could be loved by the richest or poorest, with buttons of pearl and broken lace weaves more beautiful than you'd ever believed. Abandoned and forgotten by a beautiful girl, in which she would hop, jump, dance, and twirl, when flowers of spring unfurled their face in the good old days of white linen and lace. But in my judgment, the way which I'm learning, the rain only gives the dress more meaning, soaking of nature's gleam, brightening with every sunbeam. Once of just thread, now of nature, a blanket of past, a history paper, stories of water, stories of sky, stories of land, stories undone. Weaved together many years ago by girls before who loved but grown, in the good old days of white linen and lace for the brightening days of beauty and grace.
next winning poet would be Riley Doherty. She's not here today, and her poem will be read by Chris Bryant. Normally, Debbie Zabo would be reading Riley's poem, and please don't think that I was trying to be a 17-year-old girl by reading this poem. The title of the poem is As If. The other day, in some public place, I saw a girl that looked kind of like you, and it startled me. Not because I was reminded of you necessarily, but I think it may have been because she looked a little bit like me too. Or maybe the way she smiled or moved her head reminded me of some home video of myself on Christmas a long, long time ago. And I thought I might have been drawn to that image of myself versus you. Except then I thought that she could have been our daughter, which ruined my day and made me sad. I think any logical person would find it sad, pretty pathetic actually. So I can't tell anyone about my creepy filial situation, attribution to a stranger. Unless, of course, I can shovel some meaning out. Nothing is pathetic in the name of poetry. So now I behave as if all of my thoughts are poetry, as if each one of my feelings has a unique and profound beauty that is utterly incapable of being pathetic. Like when I look at my parents and I think about love, and think about how my mother never changed her last name back, and how something so abstract as love can become a last name, cradled in her mouth and rolled off the tongue, tactile in the air, and love because something permanent. And when I look at my hands and the jawline and the tilt of my ears and my sister and her freckles and the cadence of her laugh, and love becomes something permanent again. And I think it's sad, but it's beautiful. And when I walk home with my friends, I think about how I am in love with each one of them, and how often I think about my English teacher, and how I was in love with her once, too. And I think about how I know I am in love with someone. And it's when I can imagine them alone in the middle of some night, in the middle of some desolate street, in a car winding, and I find it sad and beautiful. And I think about how exhausting it is to be in love with everything all of the time. And how beautiful it is to be awake at night, with everyone else awake at night, and breaking the night, passing and sharing it like a clementine. In love, and together, and beautiful. And sometimes as I try to sleep, I imagine you and I as parents in some distant reality, in a poem spoken softly. And I think about how no one else is close enough to hear it. And I'm not sure it's really there. Riley was last year's first place winner, and I'm really sorry she can't be with us today. Thank you, Chris. Our next reader, who took second place, is Avne Martino.
Hello, my name is Avne Martino, and I'll be reading my poem titled Eden. Forgive me, for I have eaten the last orange from the fruit drawer. It was so sweet, and the sticky juice still braces my lip and the curve of my chin. Forgive me, for I think you were saving fruit for a mid-afternoon snack, enjoyed in the garden under the dogwood tree. I am sorry, I know what it's like to wait.
you so much. And our final student reader is Nadia Toth with True Peace.
Hi, my name is Nadia Toad. You're so cool. And this is my poem called True Peace. In the realm of serenity, where tranquility resides, I weave my words with purpose. Seeking peace as my guide, in this chaotic world where shadows cast their spell, I choose to be an upstander, breaking the silence's shell. In the tapestry of existence where colors intertwine, I am but a thread. Yet when our purposes align, no longer as mere bystanders, passive and unseen, together with conviction, we embrace what peace can mean. In the face of injustice, we won't remain confined, for silence can be a weapon. The foe of humankind will speak for the voiceless, defend the weak and frail, unfurling a banner of peace that will never fail. I see the battles waged, the strife that fills the air, yet I refuse to surrender, to resort to despair, for within my voice lies power, the strength to rearrange a world that fosters hatred and demands a change. Let us rise united and bridge the gaps we see. Peace is not a distant shore, it dwells within you and me. Together as upstanders, we'll weave that tapestry anew, with understanding as our compass and harmony as our hue. When dissension takes its hold and tears the world apart, we'll not retreat or cower. We'll let compassion fuel our hearts, for true peace is not a distant dream, lofty aspiration, but a choice we make each day, a profound dedication.
Thank you, and congratulations to each of you. And now, as far as I know, I turn it over to Harris, who looks a bit confused, but he'll be fine. Here's Harris.
Okay. So I'm going to kind of just project. Can you hear me back there? Can you hear me the last row? Okay. We have a great lineup. Before we do start, I wanted to say again, many thanks to Ms. Bryant, who's been very dedicated, involved, and committed, not only president of the Whittier Home Association, but in all the efforts to make our joint collaboration the success that it is. So again, many thanks. I'll save the rest of my announcements afterwards, so I want to get ourselves on track. Readers, when you read, project as loudly as you can, because the mic is less than perfect today. Our first reader to open the main program is going to be Amesbury's current poet laureate. Please welcome again, Ellie O'Leary.
Did you miss me? Back. I know. I'll be first, but I'll be the first one who's done too. So. The assignment is that each of us would read one of Whittier's poems and then another one in response to Whittier's poem. The Whittier poem that I chose is called Forgiveness. It's a narrative poem. He's walking in a cemetery and sort of thinking out loud and thinking to himself. So this is Forgiveness. My heart was heavy, for its trust had been abused. Its kindness answered with foul wrong. So, turning gloomily from my fellow men, one Sabbath day I strolled among the green mounds of the village burial place, where, pondering how all human love and hate find one sad level, and how, soon or late, wronged and wrongdoer, each with meekened face and cold hands folded over a still heart, past the green threshold of our common grave, whither all footsteps tend, whence none depart, awed for myself and pitying my race. Our common sorrow, like a mighty wave, swept all my pride away, and trembling, I forgave. So this is my poem in response to him. It's called Beyond Forgiveness. And then a stroll among these gravestones yields no relief from the pain. How long has it been? Years? Decades? How long does it take? And then the ache surfaces again, and now has less control over you, over all of us, because over the years, forgiveness has done its duty. And then the stones yield their calming solace as the pain shifts to remembrance of the years, acknowledging the hurt, the grief, as the stroll becomes a joy. And then you realize it's due to forgiveness, and you move beyond. Thank you.
Please welcome up the next reader, who is the IT maestro of this program, and a poet in his own right, and the spouse of the former president of the Whittier home, Peter Bryant.
I should own up to the electronics or not, of course we'll see. Whittier loved Amesbury, and Whittier loved nature. And the poem I'm going to read is The Worship of Nature. The harp at nature's advent strung has never ceased to play. The song the stars of morning sun has never died away. And prayer is made and prayer is given by all things near and far. The ocean looketh up to heaven, mirrors every star. Its waves are kneeling on the strand, as kneels the human knee, their white locks bowing to the sand, the priesthood of the sea. They pour their glittering treasures forth, their gifts of pearl they bring, and all the listening hills of earth take up the songs they sing. The green earth sends its incense up, for many a mountain shrine, from folded leaf and dewy cup, she pours her sacred wine. The mists above the morning rills rise white as wings of pear. The altar curtains of the hills are sunset's purple air. The winds of hymns of praise are loud, or low with sobs of pain. The thunder organ of the cloud, the dropping tears of rain. With drooping head and branches crossed, the twilight forest grieves, or speaks with tongues of Pentecost from all its sunset leaves. The blue sky is the temple arch, its transept earth and air, the music of its starry march, the chorus of a prayer. So nature keeps its reverent frame with which her years began, and all her signs and voices shame the prayerless heart of man. So that's kind of something to think about. And thinking about these serious things might make us frightened. Dylan Thomas wrote, "Do not go gentle into that good night." And I've written a counter thing which says, relax. No need to fear that long good night. Faith brings a peace. Fear melts away. You can embrace the change in light. There is no need to make a fight. In grace and love your spirit stays. No need to fear that long good night. In knowing that the Lord is right, there is no need to fear the way. You can embrace a change of light. That which is you is still all right. The good that's you gives strength to say, no need to fear that long good night. You can see all with pure delight. Relax in peace and gently pray. You can embrace the changing light. Do not be scared. It is not right that everything has gone away. No need to fear the coming light. You can embrace life in God's sight.
Thank you, Peter. And next up, next up we're going to have one of the board members of the Whittier home and also the Amesbury Cultural Council, Brian Riley.
The first time I read this, I realized that Whittier, like every other artist, had pulls himself down. This is called prone. I love the old melodious lays which softly melt the ages. The songs of Spenser's golden days, Arcadian Sydney's silver phrase, sprinkling our noon of time with freshest morning dew. Everybody hear me? Yet vainly in my quiet hours to breathe their marvelous notes I try. I feel them as the leaves and flowers in silence feel the dewy showers and drink with glad still lips the blessing of the sky. The rigor of a frozen clime, the harshness of an untaught ear, jarring words of one whose rhyme beat often labor's hurried time, or duty's rugged march through storm and strife are here. Of mystic beauty, dreamy grace, no rounded art the lot supplies, unskilled the subtle lines to trace, or softer shades of nature's face. I view her common form with unanointed eyes. I'm not sure if I've read any of these out loud. Nor mine the seer-like power to show the secrets of the heart and mind, to drop the plummet line below our common world of joy and woe, a more intense despair or brighter hope to find. Yet here at last an earnest sense of human right and weal is shown, a hate of tyranny intense and hearty in its vehemence, as if my brother's pain and sorrow were my own. O freedom, if to me belong, nor mighty Milton's gift divine, nor Marvell's wit and graceful song, still with a love as deep and strong as theirs I lay like them my best gifts on thy shrine. So bold enough to say, I'm going to read a poem I haven't written yet. So I wrote the end of this last week. I wrote the middle of it earlier this week, and the beginning of it earlier this week, and the middle of it yesterday. And just briefly, my poems are usually pretty long, but this is a short one. I was out early morning with the dog. The sun had not quite come up over Powwow Hill, and everything just came together that when I looked up, I actually saw the curvature of the sky. It was awesome. So this is called My Revelation. I don't know if it was the striation of cloud that awakened my astonished eye, or the colors cast by the rising sun that caused me to descry. Orange, gold, and pink-lit ribbons flung upon the sky, next brought to me the spectacle I never thought I'd spy. Dante, Milton, Homo's Hallelujah did to speak. The beauty viewed in ages past, only from a lofty mountain peak. The firmament had always seemed so far away, so high, but now the thing I had only read or dreamt about was hung like a shining jewel in the dome of the sky.
Thank you, Brian. Next up is the President Emeritus of the Whittier Home Association, whose contributions over the years up through the present have made this collaboration what it is today. Please welcome Chris Bryant.
Thank you, Darius. I didn't know what I was going to read of Whittier's,
And so I started looking through his poems, and I came upon this poem called My Psalm. And I started to read it, and I thought, yes, this is definitely in this year of ups and downs and backwards and forwards and all kinds of horrendous things. This is what I want to feel like. I mourn no more my vanished years beneath the tender rain. An April rain of smiles and tears, my heart is young again. The west winds blow, and singing low, I hear the glad streams run. The windows of my soul I throw wide open to the sun. No longer forward nor behind, I look in hope or fear, but grateful, take the good I find, best of now and here. I plow no more a desert land to harvest weed and tear. The manna dropping from God's hand rebukes my painful care. I break my pilgrim staff. I lay aside the toiling oar. The angels sought so far away and welcome at my door. The airs of spring may never play among the ripening corn, nor freshness of the flowers of May blow through the autumn morn. Yet shall the blue-eyed gentian look through fringed lids to heaven, and pale aster in the brook shall see its image given. The woods shall wear their robes of praise, the south wind softly sigh, and sweet, calm days in golden haze melt down the amber sky. Not less shall manly deed and word rebuke an age of wrong. The graven flowers that wreathe the sword make not the blade less strong. But smiling hands shall learn to heal, to build as to destroy, nor less my heart for others feel, than I the more enjoy. All as God wills, who wisely heeds to give off, to give or to withhold, and knoweth more of all my needs than all my prayers have told. Enough that blessings undeserved have marked my erring track, that wheresoever my feet have swerved, his chastening turned me back. That more and more a providence of love is understood, making the springs of time and sense sweet with eternal good. The death seems but a covered way which opens into light, wherein no blinded child can stray beyond the Father's sight. That care and trial seem at last, through memory's sunset air, like mountain ranges overcast, in purple distance fair. That all the jarring notes of life seem blending in a song, and all the angels of its strife slow rounding, and all the angles of its strife slow rounding into calm. And so the shadows of it fall apart, and so the west winds play, and all the windows of my heart I open to the day.
Thank you, Chris. Next up is one of the members of the Whittier Home Association and a very top-flight poet in her own right. Please welcome Paulette Turco.
Hello. Louder? Yes. I'm not that tall. Good?
Good.
Okay. Dear Harris, thank you for your kind introduction of everyone here today and for the honor to read. And congratulations to the Tapestry of Voices for Ireson, Laney, the first poet laureate at Amesbury, and the Whittier Home. Chris Bryant, its president for many, many years, now enjoying immediate past present. For the gift, and this gift, special gift to Amesbury and to poetry. I will read What the Bird Said
which Whittier wrote late in the Civil War, and I will follow it by my poem verdict in response to focus on the significance, sadly, of Whittier's advocacy to end slavery and promote equality that resonates and still needs our help in our society today. And the birds have been a little quiet, and I'm hoping that they're going to join in. What the birds said. The birds against the April wind flew northward, singing as they flew. They sang, "The land we leave behind has swords for corn blades, blood for dew." Oh, wild birds, flying from the south, which saw and heard me, gazing down. We saw the mortar's upturned mouth, the sickened camp, the blazing town. Beneath the bivouac's starry lamps, we saw your march-worn children die in shrouds of moss, in cypress swamps. We saw your dead, uncoffined lie. We heard the starving prisoner's sighs and saw from line and trench your sons follow our flight with homesick eyes beyond the battery's smoking guns. And heard and saw ye only wrong and pain, I cried. Oh, wing-worn flocks. We heard they sang the freedman's song, the crash of slavery's broken locks. We saw from new uprising states the treason nursing mischief spurned, as crowding freedom's ample gates, the long estranged and lost return. For dusky faces, seen and old, and hands worn hard with unpaid toil, with hope in every rustling fold, we saw your star-dropped flag uncoiled. And struggling up through sounds accursed, a grateful murmur climbed the air. A whisper, scarcely heard at first, it filled the listening heavens with prayer. And sweet and far, as from a star, replied a voice which shall not cease, till drowning all the noise of war, it sings the blessed song of peace. So to me, in a doubtful day of chill and slowly dreaming spring, low swooping from the cloudy gray, the wild birds sang, or seemed to sing. They vanished in the misty air. The song went with them in their flight. But lo, they left the sunset fair, and in the evening there was light. Whittier. In response, the setting of a social justice poem, Mine, is also on an April day. I don't know if that makes you feel a little bit cooler right now. But it's in a courtroom, as stated in the epigraph, in Minneapolis. 4:30 p.m., April 19, 1921. Verdict. The jury sat. The jury met. 10 hours later, verdict said, to clinch the fate of Derek Chauvin. From devastating evidence, video taken by a team witnesses, tearful from the scene. He sits composed in his gray suit. His dark eyes dart across the court as the judge informs the world of this verdict, reading words, addressing each charge separately. Murder in the second degree. Murder in the third degree. Manslaughter in the second degree. He's found guilty for all three. He will remain in custody while the world awaits the hearing that will announce his sentencing to be determined in 8 weeks. The court adjourns. The pundits speak. The court is ringed by barbed wire fencing. The National Guard, local police, are facing thousands in the streets. This city, country, is in mourning for all in George Floyd's family. We dare to breathe. We pray for peace. Meanwhile, 600 miles away, Columbus, Ohio, below Lake Erie, a gun is fired by local police. A black teen dies. No name released. Thank you.
Thank you, Paulette. Next up will be a member of the Powwow River Poets and a longtime member of the Powwow River Poets and a longtime poet of top grade, top quality. Please welcome Tony Treadway.
Thank you, Harris. 25 years, I've got to say, has forced a lot of us to download the complete Whittier 3,000 pages of it. And many years we're invited to spend a lot of time with him, which is a good thing. This is amazing, amazing poetry there. So thank you for inviting me again, and I'm glad to be here, glad to be listening and discovering ones even I haven't read. Apologies to Chris because I've altered her program and had to throw out what I was going to do late last night and start over again. So the thing I'll suggest if anyone is tasked with this in the future is be aware that the long metaphysical poems are very engaging and very interesting, but to respond to them is complicated. So I was redirected to a favorite, the Trailing Arbutus, and we'll work on that, a nature poem, and many of the nature poems are shorter and simpler, loving and happiness. So we'll see. I also want to say in the bio that you used for me, like many bios, is outmoded, and I could not be doing anything to do with presenting screening readings at the Powwow River Poets without the women who precede me and follow me, and that's Paulette and Priscilla and Rena.
Maybe louder. Louder?
I will think. I can stand over here and
No.
speak.
No.
Move it.
Point it to your mouth.
I'm touching it. Is that better?
Yes.
All right, I'll boost my voice and stay in contact. If I rattle the teeth, sorry. Okay, so I was just saying, without a team like Whittier Home, the Powwow would not have a reading series. The Trailing Arbutus is also known as the Mayflower. It's the state flower of Massachusetts, I believe, or one of several. And you can see it probably here in late April or early May in the woods underfoot and under everything else before most leaves are up. Very inspiring.
Trailing armies, John Greenleaf. I wandered lonely where the pine trees wave against the bitter east, their barricade, and guided by its sweet perfume, I found within a narrow dell the trailing spring flower,
Tinted like a shell amid dry leaves and mosses at my feet. From under dead boughs, for whose loss the pines moaned ceaseless overhead, the blossoming vines lifted their glad surprise. While yet the bluebird smoothed in leafless trees his feathers, ruffled by the chill sea breeze, and snowdrifts lingered under April skies, as pausing over the lonely flower I bent, and thought of lives thus lowly, clogged, and pent, which yet find road through care and cumber, coldness and decay, to lend a sweetness to the ungenial day, and make the sad earth happier for their blooming. And now a poem aptly titled Response to Whittier's poem, Trailing Our Beauties. The smallest blossoms built to bear the weight of naked feet. Luminous sky and softer air bring the sign of coming heat. That early push of greenish flower lifts layers of debris. It questions now our dwindling hope for Earth's eternity. Lean close and write the hopeful view in all variety. The imprint, like an ancient fern, is pressed in memory.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Thank you, Tony. And next up is another member of the Whittier home, and an exceptional poet, and a frequent contributor to Ireson Street, along with Paulette. Please invite Priscilla Turner Sparta.
Okay, I'm going to try to speak really loudly. I'd like to thank everyone here and thank Harris and Rainey for creating this wonderful event, and Chris and Peter for all their work. And also, I'd like to thank the Whittier Home volunteers. I'll be reading Whittier's poem, The Homestead, and then my poem, Lost and Found, and then closing excerpt from Whittier's The Freed Island. I'd actually like to dedicate my reading to all the Whittier volunteers who, through their hard work and dedication over the years, have kept this old homestead going. Without them, it may have ended up like the home in this poem. The homestead. Against the wooded hills it stands, ghost of a dead home, staring through its broken lights on wasted lands where old-time harvests grew. Unplowed, unsown, by scythe unshorn, the poor forsaken fields lie, once rich and rife with golden corn and pale green breaths of rye. Of healthful herb and flower bereft, the garden plot no housewife keeps. Through weeds and tangle only left, the snake, its tenant, creeps. A lilac spray, still blossom clad, sways slow before the empty rooms. Beside the roofless porch, a sad, pathetic red rose blooms. His track in mold and dust of drought, on floor and hearth the squirrel leaves, and the fireless chimney's mouth his web the spider weaves. The leaning barn, about to fall, resounds no more on husky eaves. No cattle low in yard or stall, no thresher beats his sheaves. So sad, so drear, it seems almost some haunting presence makes it sign that on yon shadowy lane some ghost might drive his spectral crime. O home so desolate and lorn, did all thy memories die with thee? Were any wed, were any born beneath this low roof tree? Whose axe the wall of forest broke and let the waiting sunshine through? What good wife sent the earliest smoke up the great chimney flue? Did rustic lovers hither come? Did maidens sway back and forth in rhythmic grace at wheel and loom, make light their toil with mirth? Did child feet patter on the stair? Did boyhood frolic in the snow? Did gray age in her elbow chair knit, rocking to and fro? The murmuring brook, the sighing breeze, the pine's slow whisper cannot tell. Low mounds beneath the hemlock trees keep the home's secrets well. Cease, motherland, to fondly boast of sons far off who strive and thrive, forgetful that each swarming host must leave an emptier hive. O wanderers from ancestral soil, leave noisome mill and chaffering store. Gird up your loins for sturdier toil, and build the home once more. Come back to bayberry-scented slopes and fragrant fern and groundnut vine. Breathe airs blown over holt and copse, sweet with black birch and pine. What matter if the gains are small that life's essential wants supply? Your homestead's title gives you all that idle wealth can buy, all that the many-dollared crave, the brick-walled slaves of exchange and mart, lawns, trees, fresh air and flowers, you have, more dear for lack of art. Your own soul masters, freedom-willed, with none to bid you go or stay, till the old fields your fathers tilled, as manly men as they, with skill that spares your toiling hands and chemic aid that science brings. Reclaim the waste and outworn lands, and reign thereon as kings. Now for my poem, Lost and Found. To me, it dovetails a little with Whittier's poem. It speaks about the discarded things in our environment, but how you can usually find evidence that someone cares to reclaim these spaces, and amidst all of it, nature abides. Lost and Found. Along the tracks as we go speeding by, our sight so often hidden from the eyes, discarded trucks and autos, an old mower left to turn to rust and sprout wildflowers, bald tires on mounds of trash. A kitchen sink sits half full of rain for birds to drink. The backs of houses show their sordid side, their crooked porches, broken chairs. We ride past walls of peeling paint and unsafe rails. abandoned iceboxes, and pockmarked pails. No one's there to see our staring faces streaming by. They're just forgotten places to our eyes. But then we catch a glimpse of aprons on a line with flowered prints, daisies, roses, jonquils, violets, backdoor curtains, white and trimmed with eyelet. Someone's planted geraniums in pots that line the edges of a vacant lot beside an amber marsh that sweeps across the muddy shallows of a sky-hued bay. A great blue heron lifts and wings its way above remains of what we've found and lost. And I'd like to end with a short excerpt from Whittier's poem, The Freed Island. It's a political statement from Whittier, and perhaps from some of us. Wherever here uplifts the low of humbles freedom's hateful foe, blesses the old world through the new. Take heart, the promised hour draws near. I hear the downward beat of wings, and freedom's trumpet sounding clear. Joy to the people, woe and fear to new world tyrants and old world kings. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you, Priscilla. I just want to do a little commercial. I want to recognize the co-president of the Brooklyn Coaching that was here, Doug Holder. Next will be a very well-known regional national poet who's also very noted for his incredible workshop, and he has several books, public collections published as well. And he's the coordinator emeritus of the poetry section of the Newburyport Literary Festival. Please welcome Alfred Nicol.
Thank you, Ireson. All right, I'm just going to shout out.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm always happy to participate in our annual commemoration of the life and work of John Greenleaf Whittier. It seems to me one of the most civilized things we can do. In honoring this great man's memory, we acknowledge a moral bond between the dead and the living, which, when you think about it, inevitably extends to those as yet unborn. Ours is a community of souls, and Whittier's still part of it. A big part of it. Whittier was a moral giant. As for me, I am of but average height in that regard. So the Whittier I love best is the storytelling Whittier, the maker of ballads. The poem of his I'll read today is about a wild ride. It's a playful poem of which he said, "My verse was founded solely on a fragment of rhyme which I heard from one of my early schoolmates. The narrative of the ballad was pure fancy. Of course, Whittier being Whittier, even this story has a moral. It speaks of the fate of a captain who abandoned his sinking ship, leaving his own townspeople on board. Skipper Ireson's ride. Of all the rides since the birth of time, told in story or sung in rhyme, on Apuleius' golden ass, or one-eyed Calendar's horse of brass, which, astride of a human back, Islam's prophet on Al-Barak, the strangest ride that e'er was sped was Ireson's out from Marblehead. Old Floyd Ireson, for his hard heart, tarred and feathered and carried in a cart by the women of Marblehead. Body of turkey, head of owl, wings a droop like a rained-on fowl, feathered and ruffled in every part, Skipper Ireson stood in the cart. Scores of women, old and young, strong of muscle and glib of tongue, pushed and pulled up the rocky lane, shouting and singing the shrill refrain, "Here's Flood Ireson, for his hoard heart poured and feathered and cored in a cart by the women of Marblehead." Wrinkled scolds with hands on hips, girls in bloom of cheek and lips, wild-eyed, free-limbed, such as chase Bacchus round some antique vase, brief of skirt, with ankles bare, loose of kerchief and loose of hair, with conch shells blowing and fish horns twang. Over and over the maenad sang, "Here's Flood Ireson, for his hoard heart, poured and feathered and cored in a cart by the women of Marblehead." Small pity for him. He sailed away from a sinking ship in Charlotte Bay, sailed away from a sinking wreck with his own townspeople on her deck. "Lay by! Lay by!" they called to him. Back he answered, "Sink or swim, brag if you catch a fish again." And off he sailed through the fog and rain. Old Floyd Ireson, for his hard heart, tarred and feathered and carried in a cart by the women of Marblehead. Fathoms deep in dark Chalore, that wreck shall lie forevermore. Mother and sister, wife and maid looked from the rocks of Marblehead over the moaning and rainy sea, looked for the coming that might not be. What did the winds and the seabirds say of the cruel captain who sailed away? Old Floyd Ireson, for his hard heart, tarred and feathered and carried in a cart by the women of Marblehead. Through the street on either side, up flew windows, doors swung wide, sharp-tongued spinsters, old wives gray, treble lent the fish horns bray, sea-worn grandsires cripple-bound, hulks of old sailors run aground, shook head and fist and hat and cane, and cracked with curses the hoarse refrain, "Here's Flood Ireson, for his hard heart poured and feathered and curd in a cart by the women of Marblehead." Sweetly along the Salem road, bloom of orchard and lilac showed. Little the wicked skipper knew of the fields so green and the sky so blue, riding there in his sorry trim, like the Indian idol, glum and grim. Scarcely he seemed to hear the sound of voices shouting far and near, "There's Floyd Ireson, for his hard heart, poured and feathered and cored in a cart by the women of Marblehead." "Hear me, neighbors," at last he cried. "What to me is this noisy ride? What is the shame that clothes the skin to the nameless horror that lives within? Waking or sleeping, I see a wreck and hear a cry from a reeling deck, 'Hate me and curse me.' I only dread the hand of God in the face of the dead, said old Floyd Ireson, for his hard heart tarred and feathered and carried in a cart by the women of Marblehead. Then the wife of the skipper lost at sea said, God has touched him. Why should we? Said an old wife, warning her only son, cut the rogue's tether and let him run. So, with soft relentings and rude excuse, half scorn, half pity, they cut him loose and gave him a cloak to hide him in and left him alone with his shame and his sin. Poor Floyd Ireson, for his hard heart tarred and feathered and carried in a cart by the women of Marblehead. Now, the poem of my own that I'll read today also involves a wild ride and a narrow escape from death. But this is a short ride. That's a short poem. It's a haiku. Albeit a haiku with a title. After the Carnival. Alive! 3 ants crawl from a piece of kettle corn the sparrow let fall. So a lot of action took place in those 3 lines. You may have missed some, so I'm going to rewind the tape and play it again. After the Carnival. Alive! 3 ants crawl from a piece of kettle corn the sparrow let fall.
Next up is my own description of this incredible woman who has sustained many a poet over the decades, over the years. She has fostered many. She has published incredible bibliography of both verse and stories, both in English and Spanish. She's a doyen of the formalist and perhaps the entire poetry universe. Please welcome up Newbury Port Amesbury's, the United States of America's own poet, Rena P. Espargaro.
I had any brains, I would have left and just disappeared after that last week. Because it is nothing less than profound cruelty to make anybody follow a reading. What can I say? I did not go in time. Well, whatever else Whittier may have been, he was a lover of Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Whatever else Whittier may have been, he was a lover of nature. And in the poem of his that I'm going to read today, what he does is beautiful because he makes nature part of the human memory. He remembers childhood, he remembers people who are no longer in his life. And it's true that there are places in nature, this one to begin with, that bring us back to something that we wish we still had. And I'm going to read this first, and this is some sweet fern. The summer power in perfume found, nor priest nor sibyl vainly learned. On Grecian shrine or Aztec mound, no censor might I earned. That power the old-time worships knew, the Corybantes' frenzied dance, the Pythian princess swooning through the wonderland of trance. And nature holds, in wood and field, 1,000 sunlit censers still, to spells of flower and shrub we yield against or with our will. I climbed a hill path strange and new, with slow feet pausing at each turn. A sudden waft of west wind blew the breath of the sweet fern.
That fragrance from my vision swept the alien landscape. In its stead, up fairer hills of youth I stepped, as light of heart I tread. I saw my boyhood's lakelet shine, once more through rifts of woodland shade. I knew my river's winding line, my morning mist betrayed. With me, June's freshness, lapsing brook, murmurs of leaf and bee, the call of birds, and one in voice and look, in keeping with them all. A fern beside the way we went she plucked, and smiling held it up, while from her hand the wild sweet scent I drank as from a cup. O potent witchery of smell, the dust-dry leaves to life return, and she who plucked them owns the spell and lifts her ghostly fern. Or sense, or spirit, who shall say what touch the chord of memory thrills? Past, and left the August day ablaze on lonely hills. And of course, we all like to think that what we remember with love will be with us forever. But unfortunately, we can't count on that these days. I am going to read now my response, which is called It's called An Urgent Call to the Poet, a response to John Greenleaf Whittier's Sweet Fern. Old friend of nature, who so well in every season sang the praise of leaf and bee, the call of birds, the spell of snow, spring's hopeful days, flower-filled summers, and the peace of autumn leaves and sleeping bough. Lend us your spirit and your voice to save us, for we need you now. Time was when we had neighbors rich in scales and fins, in fur and wings, but nature has grown sick and poor, and losing, day by day, those things we thought were ours for good. Come soon, and whisper in the ears of power that as they vanish, we too must move toward extinction, hour by hour. Tell those who prophet has made blind to spare the earth her gown of soil, that air is ours to breathe, not cold, and water ours to drink, not oil. Persuade the rich that they, like us, must leave behind our one true wealth, our young, condemned to end their days on the home ground we've robbed of health. Imagine, make them see, old friend, the wonders we have sold for cash, silenced for good, and all we were reduced to swirls of lifeless ash. To treasure rifts of woodland shade, lest our beloved heirs soon lose this garden that our father made. For the young people who have to do something about the mess we are leaving.
Thank you, Rena. That was lovely. Next up is Amesbury's first poet laureate and a recognized watercolorist and the co-curator and co-founder of Tapestry of Voices. Please welcome up Lainey Seneschal. She told me to keep
I
it
really
short.
drew the short straw today. First there's Alfred, and then there's Rena, and then there's me. I'll do my best. I'm reading a poem by Whittier called Pictures, but in my case it will be Picture. I'm going to only read the second half. This second half I know was written about this time of year. And I know that because he describes a celestial phenomenon that only happens this time of year. It's when the constellation Orion rises just before the rising sun in the east. And it's been called the ghost of shimmering summer dawn. However, the way Whittier looks at it is much more dramatic. White with its sun-bleached dust, the pathway winds before me, dust on the shrunken grass, and on the trees beneath whose boughs I pass. Frail screen against the hunter of the sky, who glaring on me with his lidless eye, while mounting with his dog star high and higher. Ambushed in light intolerable, unbinds the burnished quiver of his shafts of fire. Between me and the hot fields of his south, a tremulous glow, as from a furnace mouth, glimmers and swims before my dazzled sight, as if the burning arrows of his ire broke as they fell and shattered into light. Yet on my cheek I feel the western wind, and hear it telling to the orchard trees and to the faint and flower-forsaken bees, tales of fair meadows, green with constant streams, and mountains rising blue and cool behind, where in moist dells the purple orchis gleams, and starred with white the virgin bower is twined. So the o'er-wearied pilgrim, as he fares along life's summer waste, at times is fanned, even at noontide, by cool, sweet airs of a serener and a holier land, fresh as the morn, and as the dewfall bland, breath of blessed heaven for which we pray, blow from the eternal hills, make glad our earthly way. John Greenleaf. The poem I'm going to read, I originally wrote for my inauguration as the poet laureate. I lived in Amesbury at the time. It's my hometown. I was born here. My father was. Now I've moved to Peterborough, New Hampshire. But the sentiment is the same. To John Greenleaf Whittier. Mr. Whittier, I think of you as my neighbor, strolling down Friend Street, past your home, or Market Street, or Main. You greet me with a tip of your hat, then stride forward to the outskirts of town, to walk in quiet contemplation of the abundant natural beauty. Our preferences are similar, to be among the local folks, enjoy a simpler life. Amesbury, a comfortable home, with a love for the nature that surrounds it, the rivers, Powwow and Merrimack, the lakes, Attitash and Gardner, the flora and fauna of hills and fields. We note the aspects of each season, appreciate both the rising and the setting. You, like I, observe the fall of light as it sparkles in rivers, shimmers on the lake's surface, ignites hilltops in crimsons and golds, flickers through leaves onto the woodland pass, or maybe a trail of moonlight along the restless shore. We vacation in the same spots, the beaches, Balmain, Salisbury, Hampton. Enjoy a respite on the Isle of Shoals. Relax in the mountains of New Hampshire, the Whites and Monadnocks. At heart, you were a country boy, deeply connected to the rhythms of our New England life. You were fearless in your righteous convictions, set us on a higher path. God always walked with you. The wonders of nature are reflection of heaven's glorious beams. I follow in your footsteps. Your stride is much longer than mine, but I am committed to the journey you began, one we both understand. illustrious leader. The reason we're here for 25 years is not me, it is Harris. When he puts his mind to something, he sticks to it through time. So, congratulations, Harris, 25 years.
He thinks she protested like she had just as much to do with this as I. I'm going to summarize the first part. I'm going to read from the poem Two Rabbis, and then followed by a poem of mine called Stopping by the Shore, which is after Robert Frost. The reason I'm going to read these two is because it was my holiday of September. So, let me try the mic. Once more, dear friends, into the breach. Okay. I will both use a mic and use my voice. So the first part of Two Rabbis, there are two rabbis, Nathan, who's 50 years old, and he and another rabbi, Ben Isaac, according to Whittier, are among the most devout of their sort and kind faith. Only at some point, Rabbi Nathan succumbed to some unnamed temptation for which he is beset by his own demons and psychologically. And so he goes on a pilgrimage, barefoot, fasting and praying in search of Rabbi Ben Isaac. I mean, he knows where he is, but he still has ways to go to find him. So that's all about the first part, where he is praying to God for forgiveness, to whoever he may have offended for forgiveness. And the second, I'm going to read from the second part. And the first line. Yeah. Dog stopped barking, and I think he was reciting Whittier. Anyway, the he in the first line is Rabbi Nathan, and he went on his way barefooted, fasting long, with many prayers. But even as one who followed unawares, suddenly the darkness feels a hand thrilled with its touch his own. And his cheek fanned by odors suddenly sweet, and whispers near of wars he loathes, yet cannot choose but hear. So while the rabbi journeyed chanting low the wail of David's penitential woe, before him still the old temptation came and mocked him with emotion and the shame of such desires that shuddering he abhorred himself, crying mightily to the Lord, to free his soul and cast the demon out, smote with his staff the blackness round about. At length in the low light of a spent day, the towers of Ecbatana, far away, rose on the desert's rim, and Nathan, faint and footsore, pausing where for some dead saint the faith of Islam reared a domed tomb, saw someone kneeling in the shadow whom he greeted kindly. May the Holy One answer thy prayers, O stranger. Whereupon the sheikh stood up with a loud cry, and then, clasped in each other's arms, the two gray men wept, praising him whose gracious providence made their paths one. But straightway as the sense of his transgression smote, Nathan tore himself away. O friend beloved, no more worthy am I to touch thee, for I came foul for my sins, to tell thee all my shame. Haply thy prayers, since naught availeth mine, they purge my soul, and make it white like thine. Pity me, Ben Isaac, I have sinned. Awe-struck Ben Isaac stood. The desert wind blew his long mantle backward, laying bare the mournful secret of his shirt of hair. I too, O friend, if not in act, he said, in thought have verily sinned. Hast thou not read, better the eye should see than that desire should wander? Burning with a hidden fire that tears and prayers quench not, I come to thee for pity, for help, as thou to me. Pray for me, O my friend, but Nathan cried, pray thou for me, Ben Isaac. Side by side in the low sunshine by the turbaned stone, they knelt, each made his brother's woe his own. Forgetting the agony and stress of pitying love, his claim of selfishness, peace for his friend besought, his own became. His prayers were answered in another's name. And when at last they rose up to embrace, each saw God's pardon in his brother's face. Long after, when his headstone gathered moss traced on the Targum marge of Onkelos, in Rabbi's Nathan hand these words were read, hope not the cure of sin till self is dead, forget it in love's service, and the debt thou canst not pay, the angels shall forget. Heaven's gate is shut to him who comes alone. Save thou a soul, and it shall save thy own. Stopping by the shoulders from my collection of Time for Death. That's a cheap commercial. This is a very short poem. Stopping by the shoal after Robert Frost. Whose shoal this is, I think I know. His home is in the shtetl though. He will not see me stopping here to offer up most solemn prayer at perhaps the holiest time of year. He would wonder what hidden mistake would make my words quiver and my knees quake as I daven near calm and reflecting lake. New mitzvahs have vowed to heal the earth, to show clear evidence of our worth, a chance for cleansing and future mirth. The ram's horn's voice is rich and deep. I am weary, the way is steep, but there are pledges to God and man to keep. Anyway, many thanks to everybody. Oh, first things first, a couple of housekeeping. When you are through, if there's any of you who want to help Paulette and Priscilla bring the food out, we need a couple more hands, but not too many of you. I want to announce some thank yous. I want to say thank you mightily to Chris and Peter Bryant. Thanks to all the readers and to all of our award winners. Thanks everybody who participated. I want to thank the audience also. If we weren't for audiences, we'd be reading to ourselves. So, many thanks. So I think that's about it, except if I missed anybody, I hope I said the thank yous and
How about
commendations.
a round of applause for these two guys?
Yes.
And thank you again to my partner in crime, Lainey Seneschal. I'll turn this over to Chris Bryant, and after that, if you will, each take at least one of your chairs and bring it up to the porch. If you want to take two, that's fine also. So anyway, please welcome back to the mic, Chris Bryant.
Okay, Chris is gonna talk right from here, she's not going over to the mic. I just wanted to thank you all for being the most gracious and for hosting the audience. You've been absolutely great. moving with the sun and adjusting for windage and all of those good things. Please enjoy the refreshments that are currently being put out now. And we do want to take photos of all of the people who read today. So please don't run off until we get our group photo, excuse me, arranged and photos taken. And Dottie will be taking the photos. And parents, you are welcome to take photos at the same time that Dottie does, but I'd appreciate it if you are like to the side or behind her when you take them. And if you haven't had a tour of the Whittier Home, it's about time. Please come back any Saturday between 11 and 3:30, and one of our docents will tell you all about John Greenleaf and his family during the time that he lived here. Again, I thank you for those of you who can put your chairs back in the house, and we hope to see you again for more events in the garden. And to that effect, I asked my husband to print a calendar of the events, including today's event, at the Whittier Home from now until the end of the year. And I hope to see you all again here in the garden and next year. My docent and my husband is a docent, so that's one of my favorite things to do. Thank you all.